Yes, this is the Mercedes C-Class, the pole, the P of... I was a little scared. Hi, I hope you're doing well and welcome to this YouTube video where we're going to talk about this car. This car, if you don't know it, was originally just supposed to be the donor for the car that's behind it. Peugeot 505 swap OM 606 3 liters 6 cylinders, turbo diesel, 700 horsepower project diesel. Yeah. And before wanting to put a 6-cylinder in it, well, it's simple. In the Peugeot 505, I wanted to put a 5-cylinder. The 5-cylinder that's here, I named it the OM 605. Turbo diesel as well, and then I decided to put in a 6-cylinder because, well, it's way more impressive, you know, for making a really big project. So I was left with this thing on my hands, which was out in the field in front and wasn't useful for anything. So I told myself, no, Anthony Perrier, that's not possible. This car has an aura, a kind of aggression in it that needs to be brought out. Meanwhile, I went to Poland for the ultra race. I met certain people, I saw certain practices. The C-Class Drift project was born. The goal is very simple. Turn this C-Class diesel with 5 cylinders and 150 horsepower into a compact drift car. Very nice. So be careful. When I say drift car, it's not like I'm gonna sign up for the French championship and break records and beat professional drivers. No, that's not it. I've never drifted in my life. I don't know anything about drifting. The goal is to build a small car with a welded differential to mess around here and there on tracks, wet or dry. I don't know much about drifting, but that's the plan. Up until now, this car, it's simple. That's the goal. Small budget, but at the same time, not really, because in the end, to really get that Polish ultra race look, I wanted to put on a full body kit, front bumper, side skirts, rear bumper, all made in Poland. Big thanks to my buddy for bringing this kit to France, and shout out to everyone I met in Poland. You're the best. Let's say it's a small budget except for the exterior, because that's personal for me. I like nice cars that match my taste. And in this case, for me, this project only made sense with this crazy body kit. By the way, a big thank you to Static Daddy, but I don't think he's watching the video because he speaks Polish for starters. Baubul bubli kulba. And then, I wanted to put rotiforms, some really nice 18-inch rims on this car, because let's be honest, man, that's exceptional. We can agree on that. So yeah, honestly, when it comes to looks, I want to blow the budget. I want all the car's mechanical parts to be accessible and understandable so anyone can work on them at home and on a small budget. But for now, the rotiforms currently on the car are absolutely disgusting. Yeah, they're really not clean, really not nice, and that's actually why I got them for really cheap. Just as a reminder, I bought them in England because if you're into tuning, you know that finding real wheels and nice wheels in France is complicated, since 90% of the used wheel market in France is either Japan racing or stock wheels. And then, real nice Japanese wheels and so on, imported ones, are rare. People keep them at home. So here, I have 4 real nice rotiforms. But again, when I say nice, that's not true. They're absolutely atrocious, absolutely awful, they need to be redone. My goal is to make myself some great wheels, but I don't have the time and have many other interesting things to do on the car, so I'll take these wheels to Rimax. So, at the front of the car, as you know, I have classic bare rotiforms, and at the back, I have ultra concaves. It's going to be simply exceptional when they're finished. So now the goal is very simple. Take off the 2 remaining wheels and bring all 4 wheels to Rimax. And really, make sure to watch until the end of the video because I don't think you're ready for what you're about to see. And on top of that, I ordered slightly thinner and narrower tires for the front, like I already said in the previous episode, and I think it's gonna be just perfect. The rims are at Rimax now. It's the next day and we can handle other things on the car. So, all things considered, I'm using the YouTube money, I think, wisely, because I really want the car to look amazing. You know, I want people to look at it and say, wow, it's amazing. If I wanted the results I wanted on these rims and did it myself in my workshop, it probably would have taken me 2 or 3 days. I just drop them off, handle other things, pick them up later with the new tires I ordered, and so on. I'm really happy. Now we can focus a bit more on the mechanics, because, well, mechanically there are quite a few things to do on this car, including some things I've never done in my life, so I'll be learning along with you. I think it's going to be pretty annoying. I might spend the whole day on it, but normally I should be, and you too, very happy with the result. Obviously, when you talk about a drift car, you talk about a limited slip differential, which is expensive, or a welded differential, which is cheap. I obviously went for the welded differential option, so let's get started. And now, this is the moment when the cinematic sequence gets awkward because the lift gets stuck. Sarcastically, when you want to put your Mercedes Eco Plus on your lift to weld the differential, that's a whole lot of pont in one sentence. And now, he's really uncomfortable, so he turns off off the camera and I won't have time to finish. Well, just getting the car on the lift was a real pain. I really need to tidy up this workshop. And you should know that I've never welded a differential in my life. I've seen them in pictures on the internet and so on, but I've never done it myself. I know the basic idea, so let's go. We're going to do it now. I have to say I'm glad for the lift. It makes things much easier. While the car's up, we're also extending it. The steering link's up front because remember, I don't know if you saw the previous episode, but I had cut the control arms, extended them, so obviously welded the control arms so that I have a bit of natural camber on my front axle. Except now the steering links aren't long enough. So I'm going to have to do exactly what I did temporarily on the 505, but this time make it permanent. Once the car is lifted, you can clearly see the differential. The differential is what's right at the output of the gearbox shaft. Basically, that's what allows the engine's power to be transmitted from the gearbox to the rear wheels. Basically, there's a pinion that comes in here. It turns a ring gear, and this ring gear turns the two spider gears in the differential. This allows the power to be transmitted to the left and right. The thing is, here, originally, we have an open differential. You get it? So there's the brake dam. Alright, wait, I'm not gonna leave you in the dark if you don't know how an open differential works. Basically, open differential means if you turn one wheel, the other wheel turns the opposite way. Well, it's not turning, and if this one turns, the other one turns the opposite way. Why is only one turning? I don't get it. Yeah, no, I'm really not an expert in mechanics. By the way, all those people in the comments who say yeah.
You don't know anything. That's all I wanted to say.
You're sharp, man. Well done. That's the whole point of the channel. Doing things I don't know how to do. I've never done this before. Rear-wheel drive, I've never had it. Well, I had my Porsche, but I didn't mess around welding the differential, you can imagine. When I say my Porsche, it's just a 944, bought for the price of a Clio 3, so don't start with the yeah YouTube comments. Fortunately, there are plenty of cool people in the comments. In short, open differential, not turning, just watch what happens soon. It's here, taken apart. Actually, it's been taken down. The original plan was to fully disassemble it, put it on the workbench, and work on it there. The big problem is that the bolts there, on the CV joints and the drive shafts, you see, those are 12-point bolts, and the problem is they strip really badly. It's extremely unpleasant to work with that, so I don't want to damage my drive shafts, because if I do, the work time doubles. So now what I'm going to do is simply leave the axle like this, suspended, you see, resting on my pit jack. I'm going to pop off the rear cover, and then I'm going to weld it directly in place. I don't even know if it's possible, but I'll find out very quickly, I think. Here's the problem. The bolt exploded, the teeth stripped out. I should have done it by hand. Now, I'll have to cut this one off and do the rest by hand. Clearly, he lied again. Anthony's only good idea of 2024, he decided to clean out the bolt heads to remove the grease and unscrew the rest more gently with the Milwaukee impact driver. Obviously, it worked much better right away. He could have realized it before blowing up a screw. But no, it's Anthony Perrier. Friends, let me interrupt this little video to tell you a little story that happened to me. So yes, this will allow me to talk to you about today's sponsor, but it's mainly to tell you this rather risky story about a friend who loves Mercedes. And of course, as time goes on, you've probably noticed there are more and more Mercedes cars and Mercedes projects on my channel. They're really very good cars. Anyway, my buddy is browsing on The Parking, which is a site with lots of car listings, and he sends me a Mercedes E-Class W 124 wagon E320. So, 3.2-liter gasoline engine, really nice. It's got 200 and something horsepower, I don't remember exactly. But anyway, a great car. Wagon, US spec, gray with a kind of caramel interior. And I think it's amazing. I said, man, it's just awesome. And then I think, wait, it's in Germany with US specs. That's a bit weird. I'll still check its license plate on Car Vertical to see what's up. So he sends me the license plate number he got from the seller, and I go on Car Vertical. And right away, as soon as I get to the Car Vertical report, I see that the odometer is in yellow, the paperwork is in yellow, and the damages are in yellow. I'm like, wow, that might be a bit much. So I scroll down a bit. I actually come across photos of the Mercedes that are from as recently as January 2024. And then I realized that yes, in January 2024, it was still in the United States, completely filthy. So I'm not going to share the ad we found on The Parking because I definitely don't want to mess with the seller. But it's just to tell you that yes, in the photos, the car looks perfect. And here you can see that the hood is being held up with straps. You know what I mean? So it's not a big deal. It's still a pretty cheap car for what it is. But I'm just saying, be careful. Check the car thoroughly if you want to go see it. Worst case, we can go together. But you really need to check the front end and the airbags. Although it's an old car, the airbags have deployed, so you still need to check if everything was done properly. I think negotiating with the seller will be a bit easier. And it's the same when we have a mileage record that's really perfect in the United States. And here I think the mileage error is simply because a maintenance entry was entered incorrectly in 1995. It's not a big deal. The car was just labeled a VEU in the US, but I imagine it was imported. I'm not sure. I don't really know these tricks. To avoid getting scammed, don't hesitate to use the promo code PDLV on Car Vertical to get 20% off all your reports. Anyway, that's it. I really wanted to share this little story with you. In the meantime, back to the video. So here, you see the technique is to make a small hole. Here I'm drilling a 7.5mm hole, and then I take something like this with just a slightly larger diameter. And I tap it in, it catches. Now I'm at the bottom, I can hardly believe it, but the screw is so soft that I think that it's all or nothing. Oh! Maestro Bon, well, it's fine. There's just one screw to replace. But just to be sure, shouldn't I replace all the screws with regular screws with hex heads? I'm not supposed to take apart my differential every other day normally. Yeah, but you see, that's a technique. If you don't know it, it can save your life. And now, we're going to do that. That way, the oil that's in the diff will go to the bottom of the diff and won't spill on the ground. That's the theory anyway. And now, I need to figure out how to pry off that nasty plate to get it out. Here. Maybe just no. Oh, no, I hope it didn't break because that's aluminum. So if it falls on the ground and cracks, well, it's done for. Listen, it seems okay. Ah, that scared me, but it seems okay. We now have good access to our differential, which makes me happy and a bit proud. It's cool. The idea behind a welded differential is that both parts are connected. You see, when the left side turns, the right side turns with it. So basically, when I turn this, it has to turn on the other side as well. And vice versa, when I turn this, it has to turn on the other side as well. So, in theory, it's really not recommended at all for a car you drive every day. But for me, technically, it's a car that's going to go on the trailer. I got my trailer license and I'm really happy, whether it's for going from track to track or event to event. I'm not sure what I'll do with the car yet, but I'm happy. That's all I have to say. So now, I'm going to clean everything, degrease everything. I'm going to soak it with brake cleaner because obviously our differential is full of oil. And oil and welding don't mix. Oil means bad welds. Well, because oil. You have to remove the oil a few minutes later. No, it's true, I speak French. A little later then. Now that I've degreased everything well, cleaned everything well, it's time to get out the welding machine. Here we go. So basically first we'll need to weld the 4 pieces together. You see, tack them well, really fill them with weld like this. And then, once that's done, we'll need to cut a kind of big, thick steel plate. I have a lot of steel scraps here and there, so that'll be perfect. Stuff it in there and load it up with welds. Just to be really sure that those 4 things, the 4 gears in the differential, are packed in there and never move again. Because honestly, there's a lot of force going through an open differential. But with a welded differential, it's maybe 10 times, 20 times more, obviously. Because one wheel wants to rotate at the speed the turn calls for, and the other can't do that, so it has to follow the other wheel. That puts the tire under a huge amount of strain. Anyway, you've all already seen welded differentials. I'm not telling you anything new. Still, things did get pretty serious on the mechanical side. Well, obviously for the welding machine I want to use a gas MIG welder, and you shouldn't hesitate to set it really high in terms of intensity so it really penetrates the iron, the metal, the steel if you prefer, and here we go. Give me the beat. Well, by now you should be starting to get the idea. I'm just making a kind of spot weld between these 2 things here. And you see, when I turn this wheel, the other one turns with it. The goal is to make this very strong so it doesn't break, because right now, if you just put it in first, it'll blow apart. So, you really have to be sure about your welds and lock everything in place properly. And on top of that, I have some anti-spatter spray for welding that I spray all over the place. Just so there aren't any bits of slag that end up here or anything, and so it doesn't damage the part of the differential that we still need to use. Yeah, well, it's going well. Yeah, well, it's going well. I did one side, now I'm gonna do the second side. After that, I'll go cut my little metal plates to weld them in. Next, we reassemble the axle, replace the cover, make a new gasket, and reinstall it. Putting it back will be annoying since taking it apart was difficult. Okay, I cut my metal plate. You get the idea. I'll need to weld it completely. After finishing this side, I'll rotate the axle and do the other. Honestly, welding a differential isn't that complicated. Driving afterwards with a welded differential is not the same thing. Anyway, like I said, I'll say it again. Don't do this at home unless you have a good reason. But above all, don't say, yeah, it was Anthony Perrier, he did this, and so he told me I should do the same. No, that's crazy, no. But why do my welds make bubbles? At the end of the welds, there are bubbles. You get it? Well, as you saw, I just welded the differential of the Mercedes, the RS3. Why do you call it an RS3, by the way, Anthony? It's not an RS3, it's a Mercedes. Well, because it has a 5-cylinder inline engine that sounds like an RS3. So, as you saw, it's poorly welded and looks bad, but it'll hold. That's what matters. What do you think? Because honestly, besides Archie, you and me, who knows it's ugly, huh? Who knows the welds are terrible? Well, nobody. Honestly, nobody. My mom knows, but she doesn't care if my welds are terrible. She's always proud of me. Still, it's true, they're especially ugly. I know they're not nice. But clearly, here, when it comes to the operation, that's definitely the most important thing. After that, whether it's pretty or ugly, we don't give a damn. That's it, the axle is back on. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad it's done because it was pretty annoying. Now I have a welded diff on a car, which makes it completely unusable for daily driving. That's a shame, but it's no big deal. With a car like this and 250,000 YouTube subscribers, honestly, driving everywhere with a diff that wasn't welded would have been suicide. Anyway, all that to say the axle is done. I really must not forget to put oil back in it because even if the diff is welded, yes, it still needs oil. Because even if the side gears and spider gears in the diff don't move at all anymore, well, you still have the ring gear and the end of the drive shaft. I'm running out of technical terms here. Crucially, they still turn and are always in mechanical contact. That's one thing, so I mustn't forget to do it. But now, since I'm a bit pressed for time and I have to go check on my factory quickly, we're going to lower the car and move on to the interesting topic. I call it turbo. L-turbo. So, at first I told you it was a mechanical project, a drift project, not expensive. Yeah, I think episode 1 was called Eco Drift Project or something like that. Anyway, so I wasn't going to put in an excessively expensive turbo. You can guess where I got my turbo from. It's not sponsored, they're not paying me to talk about their turbo. Is it reliable? Is it not reliable? I don't know. One time we had a project that was sponsored by Max Speeding Rods, so the Berlingo turbo. The Berlingo, by the way, is supposed to be sold by now, so no, it will never have a turbo. But anyway, today I think I have other things that are just as interesting, maybe even more interesting. So Max Speed gave me this thing, a complete turbo kit. Technically, I was supposed to get paid to tell you about this. I planned to put it on the Mercedes and email them. That's it, guys. 4 years later, I finally did it. But the problem is this turbo has an external wastegate. And let me tell you, since this is a low-budget project, I really didn't want to go with a turbo that has an external wastegate. I can't even talk because it needs more welding and work, which costs more. So, a low-budget project means I'll just set this here. Basically, we took the cheapest turbo from Max Speed. Damn, but it's huge. It's massive. No way! It's bigger than the one I wanted to put on the Berlingo. That's not possible, yeah. So basically, I wanted to take... It's got a ton of play. I wonder if there's something wrong with this one. Yeah, well, there you go. Max Speed, you know, you see the casting quality isn't extraordinary. But yeah, I wanted a turbo with an internal wastegate, since it's much easier to control. The pressure adjustment is done through this little rod here. Basically, this is much easier to manage pressure-wise. What's really cool about this turbo is that we're going to mount it directly onto our original manifold, thanks to a plate that our favorite American made for us, so he'll be joining us tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm going to remove the original turbo, and especially take off the original EGR valve. Why? You might think it's a bit weird. It's very simple. You'll understand very quickly. But for now, let's get to work. Okay, so basically I haven't removed the original turbo yet. I've taken off the part we're actually interested in for now since time is flying by. Quickly! Time is flying by. I need to go to my machinist. My machinist asked me to bring him this and to bring him this. I'll take the iPhone and show you live from his place. I visited the machinist who asked for my things, so I brought it to him. He said, okay. Now it's just wild. Being a machinist is so cool. It's incredible. Big respect to everyone in this job. It's really cool. The machine made my part. Here we are back at the workshop. I'm really happy. A huge thank you to Uzimaker26. He wanted to give me the part as a gift, but he's too kind. I swear, too kind. But if you didn't understand why I had this in my hands, come here, I'll show you. Basically, you see here we have the original turbo, and right behind it we have the exhaust manifold. On the exhaust manifold right here at this spot, we had the little pipe I just showed you, which was connected here to the EGR valve. The EGR valve, what is it basically? It's an anti-pollution system that allows exhaust exhaust gases to be recirculated back into the intake so that fewer exhaust gases are released outside. That's my version of it. I'm not sure that's exactly how it works, but in my mind that's how it goes. So obviously we don't want this system. On top of that, it might reduce reliability a bit since it sends a lot of junk back into the intake, so into the turbo and so on. Anyway, I'm not a fan, at least not for our setup. If we want to remove the EGR valve, there are a few ways. We could just block it off like before, but I think that's pretty lame. Or here, instead of this pipe, which goes in there, into the intake manifold, then into the intercooler, and so on. Anyway, the turbo, you know how it works. I wanted to add a pipe here, just like Clayton did. I'm not sure if he's bringing his car, but he'll explain, and we'll do it together tomorrow if I get the missing parts. Except that if we remove the intake here, well, we end up with a hole in the exhaust manifold, and that's pretty lame. And that's where it gets interesting, because on this car, I wanted to put an EGT sensor, exhaust gas temperature, to measure the exhaust gas temperatures. So obviously, that has to be installed on the exhaust manifold, or ideally, it would have been just before our turbo. Here, honestly, we're not in a bad spot. The small downside, which some of you have probably pointed out in the comments, is that here we're right in front of a cylinder, which means that instead of really having the exhaust temperature of our entire engine, we'll have the temperature of just that cylinder. On some drag cars, especially diesels, guys install an EGT sensor mainly to check if their engine is running properly. If it gets too hot, well, you shut it down, right? You're not stupid. And above all, that's what lets you know if you have a problem, especially with injection. Because if suddenly you have an injector that stays open, stuck, and all the diesel starts flowing through at once, obviously the temperature is going to change suddenly. So there are guys who have an EGT sensor for each cylinder on their setup, and I think that's pretty cool. For us, it's just to check the mapping and the overall health of the engine, so I'll only put one. All that to say, it will go here. We had several ideas for putting one there, and in the end, the idea the machinist had is really brilliant. Let me show you. Basically, we took this thing and we remade, well, he remade these exact dimensions on a stainless steel part that looks like this, and I think it's phenomenal. Honestly, a huge thank you to Uzumika26. It's incredible. So he made this thing for me, and we're gonna see together if it fits in place.
Because the idea is that there aren't 45,000 modifications.
Damn, it's just perfect. There you go. It fits right here. And then we tighten it with the original clamp. That's the big advantage of this setup. It's really super clean. How does putting in the sensor work? It's very simple. The hole he made for me here with a very nice chamfer, I'm going to tap it with an NPT 1/8 tap, just like my exhaust sensor. And it'll be perfect. Before installing it on the car, I want to test fit my new turbo with the exhaust adapter Clayton made for me. We'll check it out with him tomorrow. I'm excited to see it, and I think it'll be really nice. So tonight, I'm gonna remove the original turbo, and well, that'll already be good. I don't have to film it. It's a bit annoying. It's like on the OM606 oil feed, oil return to remove. And then we remove the turbo directly from the manifold. And here, you were probably expecting a time lapse, or maybe a two-dum, big Netflix sound, transition, next chapter. Anthony insisted on explaining that he removed his old turbo himself, though he didn't film it. Naturally, he really timed it well since the microphone's battery was dead, so there's no audio again. Can't wait for the American to show up. So basically, here's the list of what's left to do on the RS3 welded differential. That's done. New battery, that's done. Everything else needs to be finished by the end of the week. So right now, I really want to take care of the diesel leaks and the SOV on the Elite. What's the SOV? It's a valve, the shut-off valve. Very good, Clayton. Since I'm with Clayton Spagon, I'm speaking entirely in English.
The guy, he's bilingual, he's showing off.
Basically, it's a valve on the injection pump that lets you completely cut off the diesel supply when you turn off the car. So that needs to be removed. Why does it need to be removed? Well, I'll show you. Basically, here, under the intake, you can find the diesel pump. So on these stock models, like on the OM6 most of the time, it's an EDC pump. So it's a mechanical pump, but it's electronically controlled by solenoid valves, solenoids, and especially an ECU. This matters for the rest of the story because I got the new Stage 2 ECU for the car yesterday, but we'll discuss that later. For now, let's focus on the injection part. So, all the diesel hoses coming from the tank and going to the engine. I'm going to take apart the intake and show you a bit why it's messing up and especially why everything needs to be redone. And here you were probably expecting to get the rest of the explanations about the diesel. But no, plot twist in the video. Actually, we're moving on to the turbo. So, regarding the diesel on the OM605, I'll do that tomorrow. Time is starting to run out because we've talked a lot, we've gone back and forth a lot. It was really cool. The machinist came by, we looked at the cars and all that. Anyway, it was awesome. Now we're getting into the tough part of the subject. I know you clicked on the video partly for this, so here we go. I'm going to present the turbo kit with Klein because there are quite a few parts that come from all over the world. Look at him in the back there. That's really what's going to happen, right? Now we're getting into the tough part.
Now, we're going to have some fun.
We'll discuss that later. I'll quickly show you. Those with experience probably know what's happening since there are a few tubes. There you go. Here, we basically have the complete turbo conversion kit for the OM605, or even the 606. Yeah, technically it's the same.
You can put a bigger one on the 605.
Yeah, you can put a bigger one on the 605, on the 605 too, you know?
Yeah, right.
For the power we want, it's unnecessary. You should know that Klein, here with us, may seem to love American V8S. I like them too.
But I have the same thing.
He has exactly the same car with the same setup, the same ECU that's in the yellow box over there. All the same. So, what do we have here? Here we have a Max Peeting Rods Turbo. I don't know what turbo it's equivalent to.
They say T3, T4, or T04E. No one really knows what it means, but everyone calls it a T04E.
Basically, it has an AR, so a ratio that's slightly bigger than the original one, but most importantly, the volume is huge, like the turbo is way bigger. I'm not a turbo expert. I couldn't give you a lot of information, but I know that with something like this, without going for high pressure, you can get around 250 to 300 horsepower, something like that.
It's still mild in that regard, no more than 1.6 bar.
That's it, no more than 1.6 bar since it's still Max Peeting Rod stuff, so there you go. To convert, we need the turbo. That's pretty logical. The turbo adapter I mentioned to you briefly earlier, which was made by Klein. By the way, you can see his little logo welded onto it. That's really, really cool. Explain to us, what is it? How does it work? So,
on the original car, there's a KKK flange. I don't know if it's Garrett. I don't know who made it originally. I think it's a Garrett, the turbo.
yeah, I think it's a Garrett. And so
It's a triangular flange, not a great size. Then you need to adapt it to a T3.
here,
I've got the T3 flange here. Personally, I order the plates laser cut. I put an elbow in it, weld it. I have everything machined and I tap it. That way you don't have to mess around with a nut on the car.
it's screwed in. There's no space. Honestly,
You don't have space under the car, so it fits on the stock manifold instead of spending $400 on one like Ruse. Plus, it mounts directly to the turbo.
and then, well, of course, we have the gasket on the stock manifold side, the gasket on the turbo side, so obviously both are necessary. And then we placed a little order on Ben's injection. I think I have the little sticker here. There you go. Now you have the website address. This isn't sponsored, okay? I paid for this like anyone else. But it's really cool because this guy, who's based in Texas,
El Paso.
he offers us this kit with the hoses, the fittings, the adapters, the gaskets, so inlet, return, the flanges. No, really, the kit is totally complete. That's really, really cool.
I went through him. It's the easiest way.
I mean, okay, you pay the shipping fees, 50 bucks for shipping. Okay, you pay customs, 14 bucks for customs, but you buy your turbo, 160 euros, you buy this kit, you buy, or you find, or you make this thing. You just gained 100 horsepower on your car. And then you also need the ECU, but we'll talk about that tomorrow, and that's a bit more expensive. The ECU is 450 bucks, but that means now we have a plug-and-play thing to throw on the car, and it's really, really cool. And yeah, so just, I'm saying it now because I'm not sure we'll think about it later. For the return, we use the original oil return part from the stock turbo. We cut it, attach the hose, trim it to length, and connect the other end to the turbo.
That's crazy.
Let's get started. First, put this on. Next, add the gasket, set everything in place, and insert the bolts. Yeah, space-wise it's really tight, but on the other hand it looks clean. High-quality voiceover back for a quality explanation. If you're wondering why Anthony is hitting this poor heat shield that didn't ask for anything, it's to make room for the Max Pettinger Rock Turbo, which is too big. Definitely an idea from Clayton the American and not from Anthony. Way too complicated for him to pull off. Well, not Anthony. Way too complicated for him to pull off. Well. And of course, as we saw on the 505, a turbo can be rotated. That means you have your hot housing that's attached to your manifold, then you have your core, so the oil feed and return, and your cold housing. Those are 3 different parts. Once that's fixed, you can rotate your core to obviously have the oil feed at the top and the oil return at the bottom always. Check for unusual setups. Assume gravity flows top to bottom. Follow that order unless your setup is odd. Arrange cold housing in the way that suits you best. Even though most of the time, the best setup is to have the turbo's air inlet pointing down since usually your intercooler is at the bottom, but yeah, it really depends on the setup. Now loosen all 13 mm bolts and test fit it on the car. Here, once all the bolts are turned, I can take my shell with my core and everything turns so it's loosened. I'll do the same on the other side. So now turbo. Does it fit already? Wow, it's tight, but it fits. There, a dry fit. At least we can adjust everything. Yeah, but your adapter is pretty good. So, how did you make the adapter? Because it fits perfectly. How did you do it? Did you do some tests?
Actually, I was holding the turbo. Bosch was holding the tape measure.
And there you go.
We saw that there was something because right there,
Man, it's perfect, right?
it was really tight. After that, there was a lot done by eye, you know. So actually, we measured more or less by eye with the tape measure as best we could. Between the manifold and the turbo cover, it was about 20 or so And underneath, I think it was 60 or something like that. And I made a little sketch, and I found that it was 37 degrees.
So?
There are 37 degrees between the two surfaces.
Because here, I'll show it to the camera, but it looks really good.
It's shoehorned in?
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's shoehorned in. Happy to see another setup like that.
Wow, that looks really good. And it's subtle too, the way it's set up, right?
Yeah, it's not a big top mount.
No, but at least
It lifts it slightly forward, which is cool.
it raises it well. So for the wastegate, where are you gonna route it?
You have to pass it underneath. Wait, I've got my hand there.
Wow, that's tough.
And that's why I had to relocate.
The water pump.
Yeah.
Because right now, we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
All the stuff about how annoying it is right now.
Yeah, right now it's really annoying, you know? We're really in the thick of it, but basically that's the idea.
So basically, you get it, this is gonna be the really annoying minute where we have to change the hoses, move them around, all that stuff we'll show you once it's done anyway. But I'm not gonna film this part, it's gonna be a real pain in the ass. That's true, yeah.
What?
We're back an hour later. It's starting to get a bit chilly in the workshop, but we've made good progress because now the car has a turbo, and that makes me really happy. So, I'm going to explain to you a bit how it worked, and especially how we got to this point. So, well, not much, auxiliary, annoying. So for that, I'll need to get a longer hose, relocate it, and so on. But here, Clayton modified the wastegate bracket. You raised it a bit, we put the shells in the right place, and so on.
When you put the shell in the right orientation to connect the cold side air outlet to the intake, actually the wastegate hits the side.
Of the car, you know.
It goes through the heat shield, through the metal, it makes a mess. So actually you have to cut and reorient it. You position your compressor housing properly. With your cut piece, you fit the wastegate. I marked it with a marker and welded it back, you know. I did the same thing on mine.
That's what's really great. It's that you've already done the install, yeah.
We're going to have the same cars.
Yeah. So actually that's why it went fast for the assembly, so Ben's injection hose kit. So here it's not tightened, I'll tighten it on the big day to put a little oil in my turbo here. Well, actually I don't have much more to say. We beat it into shape a bit, we need to modify this, it's screwed in.
It's almost ready to start.
Except that we don't have an exhaust system. And like I told you, it pisses me off to start the car without an exhaust system. First, because things blowing directly against the firewall really piss me off. I really don't want that at all. The big problem is that the video is supposed to come out on Sunday. What day is it today? It's Wednesday. We clearly won't have time to build an exhaust system before Sunday. Plus, I don't have many spare pipes. What do we have in reserve?
We have a 6-bell pipe in reserve.
We have a 6-bell, and well, that's all we have. So we'll keep it as short as possible.
That's perfect. I loved it and wanted to do the same on mine.
Knowing that since Clayton is American, he told me, yo man, we could do a teardrop. What's the real technical word? Teardrop. Teardrop. Yeah, a drop, like a drop of water.
Yeah, actually, a drop of water.
Teardrop. It's a tear, it's a tear.
Yeah, it's a tear, yeah.
A drop of tears. English is a strange language. So, those who don't know, you're in for a delightful surprise. And those who do know, same thing. I think that's it now. Wait, I think that's it.
We're on the verge of something big here.
Something grand.
That's something I've been dreaming of doing for a while. This really makes me happy. I swear. It's crazy.
Man, that's outrageous, yeah.
That's excessive. Hopefully we don't need to raise it much, but maybe we do.
But I think we just need to raise it a little bit. Bro, can you explain to me what happened?
That's how we cut them in the studio.
I think that's how it is.
You're going to miss the carnage here.
Yeah, we're going to finish with the little belt grinder there. The little belt sander. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's okay, since we can put our tube wherever we want. After that, I'll fix it up there as best I can with the... It'll work.
We'll test it again. It's good.
He said, it's so beautiful.
This is the project of my life. Wait.
To be fair, it does look cool, but everything seems so random.
We're going to make a metal panel to protect it, and we'll make a fake cut to fix it.
Yeah.
If I make a fake cut here, I can realign it to the back.
You also need to put it like this.
Yeah, I'm going to make a fake cut on this axis and on this axis.
Okay, it's not that bad. Also, imagine a perfectly laser cut sheet all around, shaped like a drop. So it's fine if the hood isn't cut cleanly. Dude, it's 120, not bad, let's go.
You can't hear anything, which is normal. With Clayton, the American, the video seemed almost normal. Until Anthony and his legendary organization caused trouble again. No sound on all the footage where he's dealing with the diesel vacuum hoses.
And it's even less the internationally recognized voiceover that's supposed to explain to you that he simplified the system and plugged all the hoses that were taking in air to keep things from going wrong. In the end, maybe that's not such a bad thing. The voiceover that's supposed to explain that he simplified the system and plugged all the hoses that were taking in air to keep things from going wrong. In the end, maybe it's not so bad that I'm the one explaining, because honestly, he looks like he's taking 58 million years to tell the story, blah 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 blah. It's boring. Let's move on to the next part. Alright, blah. It's boring. Let's move on to the next part. Alright. So, this is the next day. I just picked up my rims from Rimax. They're extraordinary. I think in my whole life I've never seen tuning rims this beautiful. Really, it's incredible. I'm not going to show them to you now. For now, I'm going to build a little suspense. I'll show you the finished rims only at the end, so stay until then if you want to see them. Meanwhile, I made good progress on the engine last night and put everything back together. The intake is reassembled with the manifold. Of course, the EGR valve delete is on the intake side. I fitted an 80mm pipe here with a reducer sleeve from 50 to 80, I think that's right. Everything is ready, everything is finished, I'm really happy. All that's left is to change the ECU. Right now I have the original ECU with the stock management. Obviously, as you understand, we're definitely not going to keep the stock settings for this setup. We're going with a real tune, as I already mentioned, done by Sean Tracy. He's based in the Netherlands and he sent me one of his stage 2 ECUs. For those who are curious, it cost me 450 euros with the ECU, plus the 3-bar map sensor that's matched with the stage 2 setup we have on the car. And that's how it looks. It's really simple. It's the same ECU as the original, but in stage 2 with a small 3-bar map sensor, he told me that the sensor's A-line was matched with the ECU. That's great. He told me, just in case I know you already have a map sensor, install mine, it's better, so I know that at least on HDI when you put in a sensor, the mapping absolutely has to match that sensor. It's straightforward, that's all. It's a mapping value that ranges between 0 and 5 volts. 0 corresponds to one value, 5 volts corresponds to another. If the range of the sensor I bought on Orthodox and his sensor aren't the same, well, we'll have differences. So I'm going to install his sensor, not the one I bought, so let's go. I'm not filming this part for you, it doesn't matter. You just need to unplug a few wires, remove a few screws, take out the original ECU and put in Sean's. Here we have the original map sensor, so we remove it and put in Sean's sensor. At that point we can start the engine. We'll need to put a little oil in the turbo, but after that we can start. I'm starting to feel happy and impatient because I've worked on the car for weeks and just want to see it start. Okay, well, the new ECU is installed. I've installed the new map sensor. Now I'm going to prime my turbo with oil. So to do that, I remove the fitting. I take a small syringe like this one, you see. And of course, I use my best Motul Competition 10W40 oil. Well, maybe it's not necessary to put such good oil in my Chinese turbo, I don't know. But, well, I figure if I use good oil now, at least to lubricate the turbo while the oil gets up there, it'll be just fine. Now, I'm about to mess up, that's for sure, man. Okay, it's fine. I managed without spilling it everywhere. And then I empty my syringe into my turbo, getting it all over the place. That seems obvious to me. If I haven't forgotten anything, it's time to reconnect the car's trunk battery and crank the engine. I think the starter will run for a very long time, because right now, the diesel system is completely dry. It's completely unprimed. Yeah, I also removed the primer bulb, obviously, because I eliminated 2 leak points by removing the bulb. So yeah, so now it's time to get the starter going. Okay guys, it's time for the moment of truth, starting the car. I'm not sure I've checked everything, but at some point, you just have to go for it. The battery is new. We can crank the starter for a while. Imagine if it suddenly starts. No, I don't think so, but... So funny. Okay, let's take a little break. It's so funny to see smoke coming out of the engine. It's incredible. I'm gonna die laughing. I can feel it when this thing actually works. You actually have to get the diesel from the tank to the pump, and since there's no electric pump, well, the diesel gets drawn in naturally, you know, it's... Oh! Oh! It started! There are all kinds of colors coming out of the exhaust. Man, it sounds so funny, the noise it makes. It's hilarious. Dude, unbelievable. Well, you have to check if there are any oil leaks. There aren't any at the top or bottom of the turbo. It's running weird, isn't it? That's huge. There you go. Now it's running well. The noise it makes. Guys, I think we've done something really crazy. The noise it makes, man, it's insane. All right, let me get my head together for a bit, and then we'll move on to installing the gauges. Exhaust temperature sensor and boost pressure. Because right now, I have a crappy sensor. It's just a mechanical device. You hook up a hose and read boost pressure. It's okay, but I find it unreliable. I bought a better one. Let me show you. All right, but the problem is, on the lift, I can't open the doors all the way. So unfortunately, I'll have to push the Defender that's in the garage and take the car off the lift to run the gauges. This is the first time we're gonna drive with the Welded Differential. We'll drive about 4 meters with the Welded Differential. I'm excited to see what happens. Yes! I'm pressing the brake, turning on the ignition.
Yes.
Yes. The differential is starting to bind. A few hours have just passed, guys. We've made good progress. I don't even remember where I left you, but overall, yes, the pressure gauges, come see, this works. So maybe you won't see much, but here we have a 3D printed thing that I had shipped from Portugal and the Zengi pressure gauge. That's really cool. It's very, very stylish. I'm really happy. And right here, I don't know if you can see it on camera, we have the exhaust temperature. So here, well, 27 degrees. Okay. What else did I see? The bumper is now attached because, yes, there's a door module. It's the same door module as before. So, well, the car doesn't lock, but my door closes. I have a handle and everything, so technically I can use the car. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is pretty much everything works and is attached, you see. I put the license plate on the car's front. It's now street legal, so for the sensors, it's really well done, really well routed. Here we have the EGT sensor that's back there. I don't think you can see it very well, but it's definitely there. It goes through the original cable pass-through. We added another pass-through here. Here it goes into the cabin. And here we have the turbo pressure sensor, which is installed where we had put the gauge. Inside, the wiring runs under the fuse box and so on. It's really well done. It's super discreet. I'm really happy. I think it's now time to start the car and go for the first drive with the new turbo. I think it'll mainly help us adjust turbo pressure since the wastegate is currently at the factory setting. I don't know what turbo pressure we have. And Sean Tracy, when he gave me his ECU, told me that the map isn't made to go over 1.5, 1.5 bar, 1.6 bar, and I also re-welded this little thing here that lets us attach the front cross member. It's not very pretty, it's not very well done, but at least we can close the hood. Because before, since it was unscrewed and we don't have the original cross member anymore, I couldn't close the hood, but now you see it's like stock. Actually, I'm thinking right now. I'm not very energetic because I'm thinking about everything I have to tell you, but I think we're finally ready to start the car. I'll just take this. In case we get stopped by the police, I need to be able to open the windows. Hello, officer. The vehicle papers, yes, I have them. This is my first time driving with a welded differential, so we'll be extra careful.
It came off, yeah.
It really popped off. Okay, it's gonna be a long night. Yeah, well, clearly it came off really fast. It's going to be pretty easy to find, I think. Yeah, well, it was almost certain it would be there. Actually, you see, the aluminum piping and the original plastic piping are like this, so it's obvious it doesn't hold very well. Actually, we would need a bigger sleeve. You know, like, maybe this tube could be shorter, and here, a big 80mm sleeve just to really get a good grip on it. Because right now, it's really only gripping about 2 centimeters. In my opinion, we won't do much better tonight. I'm a bit bummed. The video comes out tomorrow. Yeah, it's tough. I'll look for a solution and let you know when I find one. Check out the masterpiece, Hugo, who's behind me, and I just spent way too much time on this, considering how it looks. But now, man, it can't come off anymore, right? Because it's all reinforced clamps, reinforced hoses just here. This isn't a reinforced hose, neither is this. And I don't think this clamp will stay here for long. But honestly, we can't do any better. On top of that, fatigue is going to start kicking in, so I think things are going to get funny. I'm not going to lie to you, there was no turbo pressure. Impossible. There was at least some turbo pressure, but actually, overall, just look right here. On the side of the manifold, you have this hole here, which normally leads to this hose here. This hose here is connected to the pressure sensor of the gauge and to the map sensor. You should know that if the car doesn't detect any pressure on its map sensor, it won't send any diesel. So no diesel in a diesel car means no turbo pressure. Since, well, there's not enough flow in the exhaust to make the turbo spool. So basically, I was all excited driving a total shitbox that probably had at most 70 horsepower. We did the piping, which is supposed to be airtight. And on top of that, look, right before your amazed eyes, I'm reconnecting this hose here. You just saw me disconnect it because we noticed during the piping it wasn't actually connected. Now we should have some horsepower.
Here we go. See.
I'm a little excited right now because I'm pretty sure it's gonna build up pressure. Are you ready? Here we go. Yeah, did you see how much smoke there is, man?
It's smoking like crazy.
And the sound isn't the same, you know. Okay, it works. Okay, it works.
Pear and chocolate atop almonds.
Honestly, with this fog, it's hard to do a proper pull or check boost pressure since we can only see about 20 meters ahead. I can't see myself shifting into third and flooring it right now.
Wow, that's great.
How does this crap work, shitfuck? You see, we complain about our guys. They were always on strike.
No. You know, so I think that 90% of the people who watched the video who saw this little clip just before, they thought, but
That guy, it really doesn't take much for him, man.
it's the first time I've had a rear-wheel drive car in my hands. The problem is there's crazy fog, you can only see 20 meters ahead, it's dangerous. And even besides that, guys, open road and all, it's risky, you know? We tried to do something for real. We couldn't see any lights, no headlights, nothing at all. We did something, but when I saw the car taking off with grip and power, my brain switched on and I got scared, realizing I didn't know what I was doing or how to handle it. Well, I know that among you watching the video, there are probably a lot of you who used to do street drifting, who race on tracks and so on. I'm really looking forward to getting to know that world a bit. Not street racing though, I won't do that. That's for sure. Street drifting, for those who don't know, is drifting on open roads. Some people do it more or less safely, but I won't do it. I only want to do track racing, and I just realized it's possible. And I think that's really what makes it exciting. Like, okay, Anto, it's possible. I loved it. It was very short, but in my head it was really intense. You see the footage, I'm sorry, maybe it wasn't what you were expecting. Maybe you were really expecting something else.
Something spectacular.
No, I'm too much of a coward to do it. In the neighborhood, I know everyone knows there's that car there, I calm down. So, before finishing the video, I'd still like to give a big shout out to the Rimax team since I brought them my rims just a week ago. And I think it's about time to show them to you because the video is coming to an end. And I think what you're about to see is really what's gonna make you understand how far I want to take this car. I want it to look serious, be properly done, and be well finished. I'm not sure it's possible, but I'd love to take it to Poland for Ultra Ultrace since that event inspired me to build this car. Anyway, enough talk. Look at this, it's crazy. I don't know if you really realize how insane this thing is. So, they were thermally stripped, I'm not really sure what you call that. They were obviously repainted, they were machined on the entire front face, then they were clear coated and finally fitted at the front with tires that are thinner than what I had in mind, and that really makes me very happy. So yeah, here we're gonna have a level of finish that's completely crazy. I really want the car to look beautiful. So in the next episode, if everything goes well, we'll take care of the bodywork. Or we don't take care of the bodywork, we do a track day, and after the track day, we take care of the bodywork. Maybe it's smarter to start like that. If I ever damage it, it might not be quite as bad. We'll see, it's something to think about. Tell me in the comments what you think. I think you might agree with this idea. But yeah, a huge thank you to Rimax. Really, I don't know if you realize, but it's just crazy. They're actually chrome plated. The whole front face is completely chrome plated. And everything else has been repainted in the original gray color, and in terms of price, yeah, it's expensive. Just so you have an idea, for the 4 refurbished rims, the 4 tires removed and reinstalled, the rims straightened, etc. And the whole process I told you about, we're at almost 900 euros for all 4. But I really want this car to be a beautiful car, nice to look at, nice to photograph, nice to film, nice to drive, or to really drive if you prefer. With that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I think we can end on that note because anyway, the video comes out tomorrow, so I'm not going to spend all day tomorrow doing burnouts. That really wouldn't be nice for my editor. I'm sending you big hugs and kisses, and subscribe to the channel because honestly, you guys aren't ready. You're not ready, I'm telling you.
Hey. Yeah. Let's see how you handle the pressure. I've wanted this for so long. In the field, I handle whatever comes my way, brush it off, and keep moving forward.
Okay, hey. Yeah.
Ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm cashing. I get to the paper, boy. Extra.
Extra.
Work with me, you know I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We're on the jet, doing more than just flying. Stand on that hill, you'll die on it.
Boom, boom.
Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. Miss me with all that I'm...